Wary Observations, Righteous Discussions. It's the Word Up Podcast, and I am your host. Excuse me, let me do that again. Wary Observations, Righteous Discussions, Unite People. And I am your host, OMNIETC, Omni, etc. Omni, etc. Omni, etc. Whatever you want to refer to me is cool. And today we got two topics. We back at it again. Forgive me because I have malfunctions going on around me and I don't understand why. But nevertheless, we're going to persevere and we're going to get through. Two topics are, it seems to be, in the past week, there have been two outrages. The first outrage, Bill Cosby, otherwise known as Pill Cosby, has been released recently, as of recent. People are not happy about this. Honestly, at this point, because he's an old man, I'm rather indifferent myself. Just Father Time is gonna catch up with him, regardless. That said, there we go. I just had to refresh. That said, people are questioning the reason for his release. I think people are spending a lot of time being outraged rather than checking the actual facts of the scenario. So basically what it boils down to is there wasn't enough evidence. I mean, that's the underlying issue. So he went to trial twice. The original prosecutor said there's not enough evidence to convict. Prosecutors typically don't like to waste their time unless they are certain that they're going to get the outcome that they're looking for. So if they see that there's not enough evidence to convict, they may take alternative routes for the sake of justice. Okay. Now it was a sexual assault crime, and I can't remember the name of that, like the actual terms used in the title of the charge. Excuse me. However, it seemed like the title of the charge to me was rather weird because it seemed like they were trying not to say rape, but the definition of said charge is invading persons anally or vaginally. Invasion of privacy, either vaginally or anally. Which, rape. So, I understand it's gonna ding the platform, but these things need to be talked about because I feel as though tricky terminology is what gets people caught up in the court system, amongst other things, but tricky terminology is definitely one of the components. So, we got Pill Cosby, because he did give those girls those pills. So, we got Pill Cosby, released from prison, and the other one is Sha Carri Richardson's drug test. Okay, we're gonna get to Sha Carri in a moment, but back to Bill. Bill, he's put out a lot of positive imagery, his legacy, his positivity and whatnot. So was Pee Wee Herman's. Goofy cat, you know what I'm saying? Jared from Subway, very positive message. Getting in shape eating sandwiches. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say what they are, or else, you know what I'm saying? YouTube is really gonna be on my ass if I say what those two did. But my point is, if you know, you know. My point is that it seems like often, at least I find often, the people that are aligning themselves with certain ideals to project those onto the world, they seem to be lacking in moral fiber in one way, shape, or form. Okay? Now, none of us were actually there, so nobody knows exactly what all transpired between Bill and those girls. That's not what I'm here for today. But I can say that there seems to be a consistent pattern. There's a dude on Seventh Heaven, Epstein. You know what I'm saying? Epstein is another one. It's supposed to be a Christian show. Seventh Heaven. Family-based show. So, I say that to say, though I have my reservations about everything that has gone on in the case, I'm still holding out. But when it comes to Bill Cosby, and the reason why I'm skeptical is that all of these accusations are true. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reason why I'm skeptical is shortly before Bill's time, there was a kid by the name of Emmett Till. There was a kid by the name of Emmett Till. So, there was a boy. Okay? He was accused of whistling at a white woman. The boyfriend of said white woman mutilated that boy. I know how I feel about every one of my female family members. Should anything happen to any one of them behind some bullshit of a man doing anything to any one of them. We have Emmett Till getting mutilated for so much as whistling to a white woman. Most of the women on that long ass roster are Caucasian. So you mean to tell me a black man got away with the sexual assault of all those women, majority white, and he was allowed to live? There wasn't a single father, single brother, cousin, uncle, no male family member to step up for any one of these women. Not a single one. Because you could talk about the number. I believe it was like 60 something. Yeah, I could be wrong on that. But we have let's say it is 60 something. 60 multiplied however many male family members that could potentially have. Let's give them one of each. Brother, uncle, cousin, father. 60 times 4. The probability of that many men being quiet behind the sexual assault of their loved one The probability is highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. That's my take on it. But in the case, the prosecutor felt that he didn't have enough evidence to convict. Prosecution doesn't like to waste their time. If they don't feel like they don't have enough to convict, to pin it on them, so it sticks, they're gonna move on to the next case. But in this case, what the prosecution did was grant immunity in the civil case so that the alleged victim could at least get financial compensation, damages, as it were. But don't take my word for it. Let's go to the breakdown. All right. Let's go to the breakdown of Bill Cosby. This is brought to us by CBS Philly. And this gentleman can explain it to you guys way better than I can. He's a legal analyst, legal expert. And this is fair use. All the clips that I'm going to play this evening, fair use, and everything that I'm gonna bring up, fair use content, and the sources are in the description, okay? The reference materials in the description. Let's go.
Joining me now is legal expert Damian Jackson. He's a criminal defense attorney and partner with Riley, McDevitt, and Heinrich law firm here in Philadelphia. Damian, as always, thank you for joining us. Explain this ruling for us, if you will. Does this mean the court believes Cosby should not have been prosecuted in the first place?
Well, that's what it seems like. The court basically came down and said that the second prosecution should have honored Bruce Castor's agreement. They, went very far in explaining that although these things happened, they might not have liked what the evidence was. They said that it should have been honored. You just can't have a second DA come in and upset prior agreements. It's not right, and that's something that we talked about when I was on originally. Bruce Castor, he made this agreement for whatever reason. He had investigated the case. He didn't think he had enough to prosecute. He wanted to get the victim some type of relief, so he cut that deal so that Cosby could at least give a deposition at his earlier, at the earlier case. And based off of that, that's why Mr. Cosby basically incriminated himself and told everything that he did.
Very important. Very important. So he said everything that he did. However, it could not be used in a criminal fashion. All right. The legal game is chess, not checkers. So he was able to give a deposition for the civil case, but not be tried for the criminal case based off of everything that he said. All right. Anything that you say can and will be used against you, unless you're given an immunity deal. So he was given an immunity deal, and now I believe that was the latest one. So they can't even, get him some other way unless somebody, more recent speaks up and speaks out. But let's continue.
He was convicted. He was convicted, guilty, but does this ruling mean he's free and clear?
It means he's free and clear. It doesn't mean that he didn't do it, but he can no longer be prosecuted for any crimes connected to her or many of the victims. As the Supreme Court announced in their ruling, he cannot be retried on that case. Now, if there's some other victims out there from him that are not similarly situated, that were not potentially connected with this case, people who didn't testify, any other evidence that really are far afield from this case, they might be able to bring that. But as far as they're concerned, this case is over and done with, and based off of that, that case cannot be retried.
Damon, I saw a quote earlier today. Attorney Gloria Allred, who represented many of Cosby's accusers, said today's decision is, quote, devastating for the accusers. Do his accusers have any recourse?
It really depends on what the timing is. They might have some recourse depending on their statute of limitations, but I don't think that they do. If I remember correctly, when we were first going over this, the whole reason why they were bringing this particular plaintiff or victim to court was because her case was the last in a series of them that would just fall under the statute of limitations. So that's why they brought forth her particular case. Now, if there are other victims out there that we don't know about, they possibly could get their day in court. But from what I remember and everything that was said before, she was the last victim that they knew about. The statute of limitations on her case was about to expire, and that's why they decided to go ahead and charge him at that point in time.
Damon, we have about 10 seconds left. What about Cosby? Does he have any recourse against the court system?
That's something that he might try to go against, but bottom line, everybody followed the rules. Okay, if anybody who really is to blame here is Bruce Castor and the subsequent prosecution. They could not come to an agreement that Bruce Castor's agreement with Bill Cosby from the beginning should be enforced. He wasn't maliciously prosecuted or anything else. Those ideas had been litigated through all the lower courts, and all the lower courts agreed that, hey, that for whatever reason, that agreement was not enforceable. Go ahead and file, go ahead and prosecute him, and we're here now.
So they tried to prosecute him even though they knew it would likely be overturned. Okay, so he's been sitting in jail, prison, just waiting for this appeal, and the judge at the Supreme Court level overturned it. So, you know, this is what I want to say. The game is chess, not checkers, especially when it comes to the legal system. As I said before, you cannot work off of emotion when you're dealing with legal circumstances. It's not going to go your way. You're going to waste time, you're going to waste money, you're going to waste energy. In the court system, you can waste a lot of money. You can waste a lot of time too, but a lot more money. Like, the court system just seems like it's rigged just to take your money. Court fees, lawyer fees, filing fees, application fees, all the penalties, all right, the fines, okay, it goes on and on. It really seems like the judicial system, maybe not, I don't want to say it, but the judicial system is based on how much money they can get out you. That's it. That's what I take it as. Now, Sha Carri Richardson, okay, her drug tests, she smoked marijuana. All right. This woman could run her motherfucking ass off. Okay. Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Like, she can run her ass off. You know what I mean? Like, it amazes me that, you know what I'm saying? To me, this, it's nuanced for me because like 19 plus states in the US have legalized marijuana. However, even if, let me say this, for my employed people, even if weed becomes legal everywhere, okay? Even if weed becomes legal everywhere, your employer can still deny your application or terminate your employment due to failing a drug test. It's not really a federal rule that employers are required to do random drug tests. It's really based on how the business is set up and, you know, what type of business it is. They don't want you intoxicated on the job or on any sort of mind-altering substance because your job might be important where you have to pay attention, where you may have to handle machinery, equipment that, if mishandled, can cause work-related death or dismemberment. I say that to say the Olympics is really their own entity, as is like many of these sports leagues. They're their own entity. So if you violate the rules in there, you're subject to the consequences. That's just what it is. So regardless of whether or not, I'm going to turn this light on. I'll turn that down, okay. Regardless of whether or not, you know, what state you're in when you took the drugs, or what situation you're going through. I tell people this all the time. You know what I'm saying? Just because we're in this new era doesn't mean the same rules don't apply. We're in this new era, this information era, where stuff goes from one point to the next digitally in the digital space like that. However, it doesn't stop the natural laws and the order of things from holding true. And you can disagree with me all you want. Even if you don't like it, it still holds true. So it's not about the government legalizing I understand, listen, I understand it's not a performance enhancing drug, okay? Because, you know what I'm saying, Lord knows after I hit the blunt, all I want to run through is a bag of chips. But the Olympics is its own entity, has its own committee, its own set of rules. You violate those rules, you violate the terms of agreement, and you're subject to the consequences and penalties. That's just it. That's all this is. So while I sympathize for her and her situation, rest in peace, her mother, as I have lost my mother and was on various substances in my grief. She's got to take this L, man. It's unfortunate. But what I like about Sha Carri, what I really appreciate about Sha Carri, about Miss Richardson, you know what I'm saying? What I really appreciate about her is her willingness to take responsibility for her actions. To me, that makes her a champion. The fact that she's willing to take responsibility for her actions should be applauded, because there's very many that wouldn't in her shoes. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna bring up an example and we're gonna get to it in a second. Let's get to this video of her taking responsibility of her actions. All right.
Just honestly, I want to take responsibility for my actions. I know what I did. I know what I'm supposed to do. No, I'm allowed not to do, and I still made that decision. But not making an excuse or looking for any empathy in my case, but just however being in that position of my life, finding out something like that, something that I would say is probably one of the biggest things that have impacted me positively and negatively in my life when it comes to dealing with the relationship I have with my mother. So that definitely was a very heavy topic on me, and people don't understand what it's like to have to, or people do. We all have our different struggles. We all have our different things we deal with. But to put on a face, to have to go in front of the world and put on a face and hide my pain, like who, I don't know, who are you or who am I to tell you how to cope when you're dealing with a pain or you're dealing with a struggle that you've never experienced before or that you've never thought you would have to deal with. Like, who am I to tell you how to cope? Who am I to tell you when my mental as is with leading up to the games? Every time stepping on the track, definitely expect it to be a record-breaking time or something like that. So just with that, pressure in itself was also just another thing. With this actually been my first full professional career, my first full professional circuit this year due to the pandemic. So just considering all of that put together, long time, my agent, my sponsor, my sponsorship, my family, knowing me dealing with all of this stuff. So,
Okay. There's more to the clip, but if you want to catch the full clip, again, in the reference material section down below. That was hard to watch because I could tell that she's still in pain about her mother. Like, that much time hasn't passed. I believe full span from me streaming today, it's only been probably less than a month, honestly, since she's lost her mother. You know what I'm saying? That pain is still fresh, it's still new. But that doesn't let her off the hook. And I understand that. And she understands that. So shout out to her. Shout out to Ms. Richardson, you know what I'm saying? Taking responsibility where a lot in her shoes wouldn't. And speaking of those who wouldn't, I saw a very interesting meme. And I hate when we do this. Like when we're in the wrong, we compare ourselves to the Caucasians. All right. And to me, that's not competitive behavior. So there was a meme that held up a woman that took steroids, an Olympian. Her name is Shelby. I'm probably fucking this up because I only read the name. I've never heard it. I didn't care enough to like search a clip on it. I just did my research on articles and whatnot. We got Shelby Houlihan. Like I said, I might be messing up her name. I don't care enough to pronounce it correctly, honestly. Because I just hate in general when we compare ourselves. Like when we're in the wrong, the first thing we do is run to be like, oh, well, look at this one. No, accept what you did. Accept what you did, internalize it, and see what you can do to do better. It's not about what they did. They're not you. Why are you concerned about them when you should be concerned about what you're doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Shelby Houlihan, so it's first time I'm seeing that blown up. I had it on my phone before. So yeah, Shelby Houlihan, she's a runner as well. And she tested positive for steroids. What separates her from Miss Richardson is that she did not take responsibility for her actions at all. Okay? There was a New York Times piece. I'm going to pull up the portion that I want to pull up about it. But there was a New York Times piece, all right, written up about it. She blamed it on a pork burrito. She blamed the steroids on a pork burrito. Hey, look, I don't know how she did that, but hey. So she's not allowed. But here's the thing: the post was trying to compare the two to let Sha Carri run. Let her run is the hashtag right now. The post was trying to compare the two. Both of them are disqualified. Okay? But in this New York Times piece, it is just an excerpt that I'm pulling up. The suspension disqualifies Houlihan from the U.S. Olympic trials in Eugene, Oregon, which are scheduled to begin on Friday, and means she cannot earn a spot in the Tokyo Games beginning late July. All right? Again, full article down in the reference materials. All right. She blamed it on, and when you read this article, she blamed it on a pork burrito. She didn't take accountability for herself the way that Sha Carri did. This is why I say, hey, we need to celebrate when people take accountability. Still hold them accountable and let the consequences apply. But if you see someone taking accountability for their actions, reward that with your respect. Someone should have told that girl, I respect how much you're showing yourself to be a true champion and holding yourself accountable. I respect that in people more than anything. The ability to hold oneself accountable is so underrated. And the reason why it's underrated is because if you can't hold yourself accountable, then you're not going to correct the wrongs that you do to yourself and others. If you're unable of holding yourself accountable, you're going to do possibly irreparable damage to the community that you're trying to serve. Your actions have ripple effects. They have consequences. Both good and bad actions have consequences. But if you don't hold yourself accountable for your actions, you won't be able to move in a manner that helps you and those around you progress. Believe me, I know this from experience from people that I interact with. A lot of people are stuck in the same situations that I left them in 5 years ago because they're unable to hold themselves accountable for their own actions. And inaction. So it's just something to think about when you're going about your day. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you should walk on eggshells and whatnot, but people have got to stop with this. Whenever we do something wrong, we want to look at what somebody else is doing. Oh, they're doing it too. Well, Shelby was also disqualified. As you can see, Houlihan is also disqualified. Sha Carri needs to feel this. She needs to understand the L that she took. She needs to reassess, recoup, recalculate, and come back even better than before. Like you thought you saw some shit when she did her thing a week ago. Imagine when she's given that next opportunity. Imagine how together she's gonna be for that next opportunity because she let this one go. She took accountability. Imagine her mindset right now. Imagine what's going through her mind. Damn, like she hugged her grandmother. She hugged her grandmother after that really legendary run, because she's the fastest woman alive. Imagine what she comes back with. Imagine how strong she's gonna be. Imagine just powering through, just the level of focus she's gonna have. She ain't gonna have no time for the bullshit. No, sir. She ain't gonna have no time for the bullshit. She's gonna be so focused. She's gonna be laser focused after this. She gonna get it right. She held herself accountable. And she understands the only thing that held her back in the situation ultimately was what she chose to do. So you thought this last run was something? Sha Carri ain't done. I see it in her eyes when she was out there on that track. This is what she feels she was made for. Oh yeah, Sha Carri ain't done. Let her run. She gonna show you. That's all the time I have for this evening. Worry observations, righteous discussions. Unite people. That said, get with me in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I am your host, etc. Peace, love, health, wealth to you all. And I'll catch you guys later.